Hello and welcome to Real Talk. I'm Alps Life, and today we're going to be talking about the Blackmagic Pocket 4K. I'm just going to call it the Pocket 4K, referencing it on from this video. As always, Real Talk's just all talk, no graphics, no gimmicks, nothing else. So let's get into it. This isn't a review per se on the BM or the Pocket 4K. Sorry, calling it a BM already. It's a good camera, and I want to talk about how I don't think it's like a standalone camera. It definitely needs a B cam of some sort, and I think actually it's a perfect partnership with the Fuji Xt3, which is what recording me now. So if you're like a sort of YouTuber, content creator or filmmaker of some sorts, and you needed two cameras, let's say you needed one with autofocus and you needed one just as your main cine camera, then this is your main cine camera. I've been testing it out, I've been shooting some B-roll stuff with it, and I've got some films coming up to show you, not in this episode, but there will be little mini test films that you can see. So first of all, let me talk about the Fuji and why I like it, and then I'm going to talk about the BM and how that fits in and what the differences are between the two. So first, let me just say that this camera, I'm going to try and show you all around. Right now it's got the Speed Booster Ultra. Is it called the Ultra? Yeah, the 0.71x. EF to MFT mount. It's a cine lock, and I don't like this cine lock. It's very difficult. I know that's the whole purpose of it, but I like the C500 cine lock, but I hate this. It just like, you feel like you're going to break it. You don't know what's going to happen. And it's got the Sigma 35mm f1.4. I did not purchase this. It was given to me on loan by Blake Ridder. You can see his channel up there or link down below. He makes some good films and stuff, and we'll be making a lot more films with this camera, and the Fuji Xt3 as well, and I still think that both are great cameras. And I just want to say that I think this camera and the Xt3 are the best cameras of 2018 and 2019. I can't see a camera that's coming out for the price, and this is very important. Cameras are better spec'd. You can say a Red is better than these two. Absolutely they are, no doubt about it. But when you talk about price to performance ratio, what you're getting from this, from the Xt3, it's just crazy, man. Like, we're talking $1,000 here. And you couldn't have thought that was possible a few years back, and how fast technology has moved, you know, it's crazy. So yeah, so let me talk about first of all the differences between this camera, the Xt3. On the Xt3, I will say the highlight roll-off is a lot better. And I know the dynamic range on the Xt3 isn't as great as the Pocket 4K, but the highlight roll-off, like, I can recover highlights a lot better on the Xt3 footage than I can on the BM. I don't know if that's, and I'm not talking about RAW here. I'm not editing RAW, so I know obviously RAW you'll be able to do a lot more, but I'm talking about ProRes, and that's probably what I'll be shooting most of the time. I don't really want to dive into RAW and have to handle the file sizes. I know that you can bring them down and stuff, but then you got to like debayer it and all that stuff. I can't be bothered to do all of that. I just want to be able to slap my footage on, edit on the go, color it as well as I can, and get the hell out of there and upload that footage. That's my workflow. That's what works for me. I know other people like to spend a lot of time on their projects and stuff like that. I like to film a short film today, have it ready within 2 days time. And that's the kind of pace in which I need to be working at. So that's my scenario. That's how I will be talking about these cameras. So in terms of the Xt3, what can I say? It's small, it's light, the autofocus is good, it's on me right now. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, but you said it was a fail last time. Let me just clarify something. When I talked about in the other video about the fail, I meant that when you wear sunglasses, and this is my biggest problem, when you wear sunglasses or anything that's kind of covering your eyes or your face, it fails to detect your face. And that's a big problem, because if someone's wearing a hat or something like that, it doesn't detect it as well. And that is an issue. I find that an issue because, you know, what if I want to go outside and I'm in the sun and I need to wear sunglasses, I need to vlog or something like that. I need the autofocus to be reliable. And that was my point. And that's what I was saying. It's all good at focusing faster now and like moving back and forth, and it snaps on. But as soon as I put glasses on, it seems to like, that's endgame. Like, it's done, you know? Thanos click, bang, everyone's dead. It just doesn't make sense to me. They need to improve on that, and they need to like build a better algorithm around that. It's still great. I still say it's the third best autofocus system out of all the cameras so far that I've used. So please don't get me wrong and don't get me twisted. Like, it's a great camera and I still love it. Yeah, like I was saying, the form factor, F-Log's great. The color science is really good. The 4K quality of this camera is immense. The Xt3 is just, it's blown so many cameras out of the water, and especially for the price, the weight. Camera looks great as well. It's got all the analog features. And now let's talk about the Pocket 4K. This thing is an absolute beast, and I'll say that in many different ways. Number one, the actual body itself, it feels like a slightly bigger 5D camera. That's how I feel like when I'm holding it. It feels similar to holding a 5D, basically. The weight of it though is super light. This camera is so light, and I'm like, I don't know if it's lighter than the Fuji. I could be wrong. It feels like it is. Body-wise, it's made out of plastic. Most of you will have seen reviews on this camera anyway. It's plastic. I really like the design of it. When I first saw it, I thought it reminded me of the tumbler from The Dark Knight. I don't know why, that was the first thing I thought of, and I was like, wow, this camera looks cool. Everyone else seems to hate it. I like it. The screen, I love the big screen on the back. I do wish you could flip it out. Then, you know, you wouldn't necessarily even need to have a screen that big. That could have probably even saved them some money. Could have made a cheaper camera. Maybe in the next version, you could have something without this, and maybe like an attachment or something like that. Who knows? Anyway, so the mounts on the top, there's no hot shoe mount, but there is like, I don't know if it's a 3/4 for one. It's just standard one that you can then connect into a horseshoe and whatever, or a rig. And then on the bottom, you've got your standard screw thread as well. Now, I like the form factor when you're having to hold a lens, so that you can hold it like this and you can get ready to shoot. The one thing I don't like is the weight distribution, and I'm going to tell you why. So the camera body itself is really light, but the lens with the meta bones is heavy. It's heavier than my Xt3 setup with the microphone and the monitor on the top. It's heavier than that. And it feels like I've gone back to DSLRs again, which can be a good thing when you're doing like handheld shots and stuff like that. But the body is too light, so that when I'm holding it like this, there's more vibrations at the back than there is at the front. So you kind of need a cage at the back here to kind of balance out the weight. It's very important that when you're shooting and filming, the weight all the way through is even. And because otherwise when I'm holding it like this is heavy, and it's like, it's kind of front ways heavy. And then so any light touches at the back, it will tend to move a lot more. And that actually makes it a lot more difficult to get really tight shots. Other things as well, the bad things I would say, the battery life is not that bad. It's not that bad. I would say it's only slightly worse than the Fuji. But obviously that's shooting in ProRes. I don't know if RAW has a bigger effect on that. I don't think it would. What else can I say? The frame size is really nice. The 35mm on this is really good. I do think the lens is too sharp, and it's too clinical. I think you need vintage lenses on this camera to really bring out the best in it. Unfortunately, the mount, I did have a M4.2 to Micro Four Thirds mount, and so I could have used my Takamore on here, the 50mm, to be able to show you, or even the Helios. But I don't have that with me anymore, so I'm not able to. And I could have got it from Blake actually, because I gave it to him to borrow. No, sorry, I gave it to him to keep. Yeah, borrow, give it back. So it's sharp lenses on here. I don't think do the image justice, but the image that you get out of this camera in terms of video is absolutely stellar. I'm gonna say this now, and I'm gonna criticize me in the future. I'll probably regret saying this now. It's better than the Fuji, and it's better than almost every camera I've used. When I think about the size, when I think about, I haven't used the Red, so I can't compare, and I haven't used an Arri Alexa or any Arris. I would love to use it. I would probably, if I used an Arri, I'd probably say that was the best image I've ever had, because I love the way that the color science comes out of that camera. It's comparable to the Fuji, but there's something about the image on here that makes it very filmic, cinematic, very kind of like, I can't explain it, but every time I just like record something and I just look at it and then I grade it, it's perfect. It's like, I'm just I don't know, it just feels like it's got some sort of texture on it, and I love it. And that's not to say that the Fuji doesn't. The Fuji does, but I think where this has got like higher dynamic range, I think that's what I'm seeing. That's the difference I'm seeing. It's just got that little bit more information in the shadows, a little bit more of information in the skin. But I still think that the Fuji, the difference is like negligible. It's, you honestly, you wouldn't worry about it too much. And also with this, you're getting DaVinci Resolve as well, which is a very, 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 very good deal. This is like literally the camera of the century for filmmakers. For proper filmmakers who don't need autofocus, this is it. It does have push autofocus. Sorry about the light changing at the back because the sun keeps coming in and out of the clouds, so it's gonna start wavering a bit. But it has push autofocus, so it's basically single shot, so you just aim, tap, it'll focus in the middle and then keep that in focus. I haven't really used that feature that much. I think if you have, I don't know if it will work. There's some like Bluetooth app that you can get to control the camera. I haven't actually used that yet. I'll probably look into that as well. I love this camera and I love the Fuji Xt3. If I had to pick one and one only, it would still be the Xt3. And then there's a reason for that. And that's because the Fuji Xt3 has autofocus that's reliable. Well, me criticizing the Xt3 autofocus. So the autofocus is reliable when you have a face on camera, and it does it well. And especially the new update, it's so snappy and it's really good. This doesn't. So you're stuck being. If you're a one-man band, this isn't the camera for you, unless you've got like a really good monitor and a wireless follow focus and you can just pull focus while you're sat down. I find that to be a lot of hassle. The Xt3 is a great all-rounder. F-Log is great, and it's very good low light, up to 6400. Maybe you could go up to 10,000. You know, you saw the low light video test, and if you haven't, here's a teaser card up here. It's great. I really love both cameras. I think if I was to have the money, I would probably get like both of them together as an A and B cam. And that's what Blake's got right now. He's actually got the ideal setup that I wanted, which was the Blackmagic and the Xt3. You know, I wouldn't say if you bought this you would regret it, unless you worked with higher end cameras. This is replacing the mid-range higher end cameras. Like, why would you not want a body this small? It's able to go on a gimbal. It's able to be transported easily. It's more discreet than a normal cine camera. The only problem I have with it is the battery solution. Now, they've got a hand grip which comes out. I wouldn't personally get that because that would just make this a hefty beast. I would probably get a cage and then a battery solution with that. You can record to SSDs, but powering it, I really wish they'd made it USB-C hold on. I really wish that they had made this to be able to be powered by USB-C, like the Fuji. So basically I can charge my phone, I can charge whatever, even my iPad, and then I could be on the go and my camera's battery's low, I can just plug it into my camera and know that it's charging it, or I could also use it on that battery pack. And I think that's important when you think about designs of cameras. They need to be like kind of modern and current in today's times. And I think USB-C charging is the future of cameras. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing a camera that has no battery slot in it, and it's just like powered externally by USB-C. And that could save companies money as well. And I don't think that's a bad idea. I think with attachments, maybe like a side slot attachment, maybe a designated battery pack, because what's the point in having a battery that lasts only 45 minutes when you can have a battery pack that lasts for 5 hours? And if that's a solution, then build a camera that hosts that solution. You know, when you got Red cameras, they've got the V-mount expander pack thing, whatever it is, on the back, and you can just slot that in. That's how you do it. So it's not really any different. And I think that's the future. I see that being the new way of powering cameras. But obviously, if you're a photographer and stuff, that might not be as useful. but certainly for filmmakers, that's a useful option. The one thing I do miss on this is no viewfinder. I've kind of got used to, I never used to look in viewfinders before, but on the Fuji, it's something that I've been doing a lot recently, and I've quite enjoyed it because it's quite good image quality and I can see clearly from it. And that was a problem before. It's like some of the viewfinders are really difficult to look through. And on this, I'm like, sometimes I'm looking at the big screen and I'm finding myself like putting my eyes near it like an idiot, and it's not there. So yeah, that's a false habit. Like I said, really like this camera. It's great for the price. The build quality is not so great. If you drop this, you're breaking it. That's all I'm saying. You drop this, you're breaking it. The Fuji, I feel like I could drop it and it'll probably get damaged, but I don't think it'll break. So there's that. What else can I talk about? Oh yeah, the other thing as well is that if you're going to record like 4K 50 or 60p, you're going to want to get CFast cards or an SSD solution, because when I tried the SD card, it started cutting out after like 30 seconds or something like that. It's not able to record. And I use my UHS2 Pro Grade card, which I know can record 4K 60p because I do it on my camera on the Xt3. So on here, on the Pocket 4K, it doesn't quite work. So you need to be wary of that. And I love the function buttons as well. So you've got 3 function buttons on the top. You've got the ISO S, which I presume is your shutter speed, and white balance. I could be wrong about the S, but I do believe it's shutter speed. And then you've also got a photo button here, so it can take pictures, 4K pictures, which I personally haven't used. Why would you when you have the Fuji, which obviously is more superior? And then you've got the scroll wheel at the front here, which changes the aperture. And I love the camera menu system on here. So I actually really love the menu system on here. If I can show you, it's so simple. Like every camera needs a simple video menu like this. You choose your codec, Blackmagic RAW or ProRes, HQ, 422, LT, ultra high definition. Go to the next page. How many frames per second? Off-speed recording. Do you want it on and off? Where do you want to record to? Your SD card slot, your fullest card, why? And CFast card, or SSD, which I obviously don't know how you do that because I haven't done that yet. And then you can also choose your profile. So you've got film, extended video, or video. And you'd obviously choose those if you wanted like a really fast turnaround. I'd probably go with extended video because you get more dynamic range out of it. And it's got windowed sensor as well, so I think if you're shooting in certain things, so 4K DCI, it uses the full sensor, otherwise UHD crops in a bit, and you got to be wary of that as well. So if you can't afford the Metabones and you can't afford full frame lenses, you are going to be stuck with that micro four thirds sensor, which is another reason why I wanted the Fuji, because it's APS-C and that's a cinema standard. Well, it was a cinema standard. Now everyone's going full frame and Vista and bigger than Vista and IMAX and all that. But you know, APS-C has long been the cinema standard, and there's nothing wrong with it. It feels normal. This is micro four thirds with the speed booster. I think it comes just short of full frame, but that's not a problem. I think if you get like you get the 12 to 32 micro four thirds lenses, you'll be all right. I personally am steering away from all these electronic fly-by-wire lenses because I thought I could use the Fujis, but as I'm like getting more advanced camera moves and stuff like that, I'm starting to remember that actually they're not that great, and it's causing problems because you can't rack focus that well. So yeah, and the Sigma lens doesn't have hard stops, but you are able to like rack focus because you can set your markers on. So that's one of the benefits of having those types of lenses on the systems. So yeah, I think both are great A and B cameras, either or, you know, either way around. And I think that you'd be very happy if you spent that money, because if you think about it, you could get like what a Sony costs. You probably get an Xt3 with a kit lens and a Blackmagic camera, or you could just invest in a set of vintage lenses and use both cameras. I would do that. That's what I would do. I would get both cameras, get a set of vintage lenses, and then probably get like a wireless fuller focus to fit both systems. And that's probably how I would go about. So yeah, that's my kind of like first initial thoughts. Like I said, this isn't a review per se on the camera, because I do want to do that, but I want to do it properly, and I want to like give you better cinematography than what I'm doing, just me sitting down here talking. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, please leave a comment down below, hit the thumbs up button, and subscribe if you want to see more content. And tell me as well, like, what do you think about the Blackmagic and the Fuji? Which one do you think is better? Do you think that they both have their own uses like I do? Do you agree or disagree with what I'm saying? And yeah, I'm going to be, you know, I'm still sticking with the Fuji. I believe in this system. I think that this is the future. I love the color science. This is the camera that everyone who's wanting to do vlogging and who's wanting to get into filmmaking, they should have the Fuji camera, because it nails every single aspect. But this is a better cinema camera, purely because of the dynamic range and the image that it gives you, and how cheap it is, and the software as well. You get that free software. It's the better cinema camera. The Fuji is the better all-rounder. Better photographs, better you can take video that's just as good, and there's nothing wrong with it. So that's kind of where I wanted to leave you with. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say today. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Peace out.